Welcome to HBCU Her Voice, a place where we celebrate the powerful voices and stories of remarkable women from historically Black colleges and universities. I'm your host, Regina Robinson, a proud HBCU graduate myself. I'm thrilled to bring you this platform dedicated to amplifying the voice of our community. We dive into inspiring stories of resilience, success, and the incredible impact these women are making in the world. From trailblazing entrepreneurs to innovative leaders, we bring you the stories that matter, showcasing how HBCU experiences shape paths and fuel passions. We'll explore challenges, victories, and wisdom. Whether you're an HBCU alum, a student, faculty member, supporter, or simply someone who believes in the power of diverse voices, we are so glad to have you. So listen up as we share insights, celebrate achievements, and uplift our community. Together, we can inspire the next generation of leaders and ensure our voices are heard loud and clear. A grand welcome to HBCU Her Voice. And we are back with another amazing episode of the HBCU Her Voice podcast. It's no secret. It's one of my favorite places to be. I always tell you that. And I'm your beautiful host, Regina Robinson, streaming from the illustrious city of Houston, Texas. I have another amazing guest. I love my guests because I do not skimp on my guests. You've seen in this entire series, these women have brought the heat, brought the fire, and this lady is no different. You know the drill. She comes to the stage, tells us her name, where she's streaming from, which HBCU she's repping, and she jumps right into that story. Without any further waiting time, here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Hello. I am Regina Robinson, and I am tuning in from the DMV from Maryland, and I'm repping my HBCU, Bowie State University. Go Bulldogs. I'm a Bulldog for life. And so I am a woman, I am a mom, I am a woman who loves God, and most importantly, I am a woman who champions for other women to go from a space of being broken to unbreakable, to move from stagnant to unstoppable in their life, their businesses, and their careers. And so I am the inner confidence curator, international speaker, award-winning author and publisher, and I am excited to be here with each and every one of you on today at the HBCU Her Voice podcast. And so we are going to have an amazing time, an amazing experience, and most importantly, we're going to glow and grow. We're going to allow ourselves to stretch, to move from comfort to being uncomfortable and be okay with that so that we can grow into the greatest version of who we are. I am a woman who has had challenges, but guess what? I stand firm today before you, ready and willing to embrace what it is that my next level has in store for me. So I encourage you as a woman to do the same. We are history makers. We are disruptors. We are unstoppable.
Oh, I love it. See, she already coming in with the big energy. Come on, Miss Regina, and talk us out of it. Thank you for sharing that. Now, let me just say this. I've had one other Bowie State participant so far, so you're number 2. And the last one, she brought the heat. Very intelligent lady. I definitely need to connect you guys. Beautiful in the space that she does. And so I'm happy to have another representative here of such an amazing school. Now, before we jump into a little bit more about your journey, I want to know how or why Bowie State. Where did that come about? What was that journey of kind of matriculating through that space? And what do you remember most about being a Bulldog?
Wow. So the craziest thing is I didn't start out as a Bulldog. I started out as a Hornet. So I went to Delaware State University for my first 2 years of college, where I truly would say I had my college experience. I lived on campus. I did all the activities. I did all the partying. Yes, all the partying. And I was at Delaware State University. So originally when I was in high school preparing to go off to college, I got accepted to both, but the Bowie State University said I had to go to summer school. Now, y'all know I was not trying to go to summer school my last year of high school. Okay, no, that was a no. So I chose Delaware State because there was no stipulations for me to come straight to their college campus. So I went to Delaware State, had a great experience, but also had a little bit of too much fun. And then I decided to transfer. And so I transferred to Bowie State University, where I was by then working and going to school. So I worked and went to college, went to school full time. I worked full time, went to college part time. for a while. And then I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do them both. So I worked full time and went to school full time. And I loved my experience at Bowie State University as well. So there, it wasn't all about the rigmarole and the partying. It was all about the academics and becoming, just embracing what my professors had to offer to me to prepare me for the next level. And that was the workforce.
I love it. So we do know that at some point, you went to the workforce, but from what I have is that you've been in the entrepreneur space for well over 15 years now. Wow. Okay. I'm still newer in my journey. Still, I call it 3-year-ish in the journey here and doing it. So to see a veteran, to me, entrepreneur in this space, I'm always like, girl, Lord, I know you've been through it. I know you've been through it because these 3 years have definitely been there for me. So I want you to kind of take us from the transition of leaving the workspace and then starting entrepreneurship, and then we'll kind of weave into the place and space that you're creating to build these powerful women.
Awesome. So I started out when I first got into the workforce, I was in banking. Then I went from banking to residential and commercial property management. So see, I had a plan. Then I already knew eventually I wanted to go into teaching. And so I became a teacher, a high school teacher. I taught business courses. In fact, I was a National Teacher of the Year teaching entrepreneurship to high school students. Then I went on to become an adjunct college professor where I taught English and business. And then I became an entrepreneur while teaching. And so I was a full-time teacher, part-time entrepreneur for 3 years. And 3 years into my teaching at the particular school that I was at during that year, they lost funding for my position. And so I instantly went overnight from being a full-time educator to a full-time entrepreneur.
Uh-oh. Sometimes when you're back up against the wall, that's when the real stuff come out, because who knows what would have happened if their funding stayed in place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think about that too in my journey. I was like, it was when your back got up against the wall that you put that stuff together and got it on out there. So in the entrepreneur space, Miss Regina actually does a number of different things. But today we are focusing on her women's movement. She has a beautiful women's empowerment movement. Tell me how that birthed. Why is that important to you? And really that transformative aspect you give to women that need empowerment.
Wow. So I championed the women's movement, Unstoppable Woman on the Move, and it birthed 10 years ago. And it birthed out of my story, out of my pain, right? Out of my courage. And so 10 years ago, I was that woman who was okay with being in my room with the blackout curtains, like a lot of us have at home, where there's not letting in any light. But we all know light always shines through, right? So I was that woman who was depressed. I was that woman who was unhappy. I was that woman crying in my pillow or in the shower so my daughter didn't hear me. I was that woman who showed up and masked their pain. And when you saw me, I would say I'm blessed and highly favored, but in the background, I was broken. I was that woman who went from day to day and was just like, okay, if it was the next day, okay. If it wasn't, I wasn't going to be upset about that. I was that woman who said, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. I was that woman that says, okay, God, I'm done in the moping. I'm done in the weeping. I want a clean heart. I want to start over. I want to be new. I want to be made whole. And so literally I went on a journey of discovery, and God, I promise you, the purging season is not an easy season, but it's a season that's a worthy season, because when you come out on the other side, it truly is joy, right? He says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. On the other side is truly your joy that you can smile, joy that you can love yourself, joy that you can believe in yourself. But most importantly, joy that you can stand in your own uniqueness of who you are authentically. And so for me, that is why I'm passionate about helping other women understand it's okay to be broken, but it's an amazing thing to be unbreakable. And so you don't have to live in brokenness. You can transform and shift into your unbreakable season. And you can become that unstoppable woman that God has purposed for us, who is fearfully and who is wonderfully made.
See, that's powerful. And, when that suffering, right? I think sometimes when we think about suffering, whatever, we always want to avoid it. I have to say this, and I have to say this from the purest place. I'm telling you, suffering is very much a part of our journeys.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that on some wild stuff like I just want to be in this suffering, No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in order to sometimes build the woman that you're called to be. There is a little piece of suffering involved in that. So I remember that, especially as I'm going through many hurdles and obstacles myself. I often say like, this part is where you better stand and not fold. This part is where you better stand in it and walk it out. So I am learning that too, Miss Regina. So that suffering piece will be a little nugget that I'll write to the side. Hearing you say it in a woman that's in your journey, where you are, helps me to continue the journey. That's why this platform and these conversations are so powerful, and that it's important that we tune into them. Let me go here, because one of the things I read in the review of the women that you're looking to help, you like to specifically target women that are 40 and older.
Yeah.
That population, I always say, that's your do or die season. Are you going to do it or are you not? Was there a particular reason why you chose that age demographic? I know a good reason as to why it is a great age demographic, partly for what I just said. But I am also finding that as I'm approaching that season in my life, many of my friends and peers are in this kind of almost midlife crisis phase. What am I supposed to be doing? Now my career expanded, some of them now, 15 years and things of that sort. Is this what I really want? So is there a part of your empowerment that kind of speaks to that? Because I do find that in my common age range as to where I am right now.
I believe that age range chose me. Because it was in my 40s when I got the epiphany. It was in my 40s when I got the breakthrough and the transformation. So that age actually chose me. I believe that when we get to a certain space, people always say you have to do this by this age, that by that age, and if you didn't do this by this age, you didn't make it, or you didn't arrive or survive. But in the age of 40 is when I begin to live my greatest life. Right. And now that I'm in my 50s, I'm living my even best life. And so I don't plan on slowing down or stopping. So a lot of people think when they get to their 40s or their 50s, it's kind of like, let's slow the pace down. No, I say speed up. Right. I say live and do everything you've been planning to do that you did not do. Live and embrace everything that you desire to do, and then put action steps in place so you can do it. And so for me, in this age of 50, I am literally doing more than I've done in my 40 or my 45 plus or 50 years of living on this earth. And so I'm excited about it. I travel, I get up and go, I do and please, right? So I am owning my brilliance, and I am operating in that every single day. And I plan on not putting on the brakes anytime soon. And so I always say, there's less time ahead of me than it was behind me. And I plan on living out that time the most fulfilled. I plan on leaving here absolutely empty.
Oh, I'm leaving empty too, Miss Regina. We going out of this thing empty, and I pray that everything that he puts on the inside of me comes out, and that is actually embedded into my prayers daily, because it has to come out. And no matter how hard, how difficult, I am committed to getting that thing out. Now, this program, Ms. Regina, is this like a full-on like 1-year coaching program? Is it kind of one-on-one type sessions? How are they actually working with you, and what does that time frame look like? I'm pretty sure there's probably flexibility there, but generally, what does that look like?
So the Unstoppable Woman Inner Circle Mentorship Program allows women to come in. It's that woman that feels like they're stuck. It's that woman that feels like I know I got it in me. I just need that push. I'm that pusher, right? We're going to get to the cliff and I ain't holding on. I'm pushing. I'll be there at the bottom to help you if you fall and get back up. And so I believe that our program is designed to help women to tap into their confidence, right? So that you can dig so deep that when you need that pickup, you can be your pickup the next time. When you need that belief in you, you believe in you. You don't need someone to tell you, right? But in the midst of that is for the women who just need somebody to celebrate them, the women who need someone to pour into them, the women that need someone to remind them just how brilliant, just how great, and just how unstoppable they I'm the woman who says, I have this business idea, but I'm not quite sure how to frame it so that the world knows, right? So we're here to sound the alarm on what it is that you're great at. We're here to make sure people know you exist and you can stop being a best kept secret. And so we're here to make sure you stand up and be bold and unapologetic about what you bring to the world, because it's necessary. You are the courage for someone else to take their first step.
I love it. I love it. And Ms. Regina said, now, if you do happen to go on off the cliff now, I'm going to be at the bottom to make sure I help you get back up there. And I love that part of the segment. Now, sometimes when you're a pusher and you're the one that speaks over, you're the coach or whatever. So, of course, your repository sometimes gets a little bit empty. You know this because when you do this kind of work, it does take a certain level of energy to pour. Let's talk about your support system. What type of support system do you have in terms of, maybe it's mentorship, maybe it's family, but we just want to talk about that structure because it gets a little bit tricky, or at least it has for me in entrepreneurship, and then also to kind of changing roles around, different people that don't understand this walking journey. Talk about the support system. Number one, the importance of it, and then number two, what your structure looks like.
I believe that having that circle of influence, that it's important. So as a coach, I have a coach, right? You shouldn't be coaching with anybody who don't have a coach, because how are they growing? How are they stretching? And so I believe the importance of having a circle of people, someone who's going to encourage you, someone who's going to inspire you to dream bigger than you dream, someone who's going to remind you when you start to question, someone who's going to pray for you when you can't usher up a prayer for yourself, someone who's going to push you, right? Someone who's going to hold you accountable on the day where you say, I just don't have it in me. And they say, yes, you do. Yes, you do, right? That's fear. That's doubt. That's procrastination. Move with tenacity, move with perseverance, move with resilience. You got this, right? And so I believe that circle of influence is important, because entrepreneurial land can be lonely. And so who do you have in your circle? Jim Rohn always says you're a result of the 5 people that's closest to you. Who is close to you? Who's in your tribe? Who's in your trusted circle? Because everyone doesn't deserve direct access to you. You have to protect your peace and your boundaries, right? And understand that no is a complete sentence. So who is it that you have that is your support? And most importantly, are you supporting you? Are you celebrating you? And are you giving yourself grace?
Uh-oh. She's knocking on some doors now. She said, because she said, are you loving and supporting yourself? Because, that's that right there. It's going to be, that's going to be that foundational piece right there, because you're going to have to be in the thick of it when other people just can't be there. There's this self-sufficiency that you have to have. And then that allowing the grace, baby, give yourself a little grace. Take a deep breath. And I am speaking from someone who it has walked the journey and is walking the journey with grace, with self-grace, right? Because it's the thing, especially when, you're trying to get this thing done. You're figuring out, well, why is this maybe working for them and not for me and all these kind of things. Give yourself grace and understand that your journey, maybe it's not like theirs. He never intended it to be. That's not what he said. So be comfortable in your journey and giving yourself grace. Thanks for speaking on it, Miss Regina, because every time I get a little cure, I write a little nugget down from the episode, because I always go back and replay these because it's normally these are very timely for me. Let's talk about your series on women in the Bible.
Yeah.
I had to look around, girl. I had to go look and see what Miss Regina had going on. So let's talk about the series, why that's important to you. I'm probably going to have to go and check that out, because I find myself now, like I said, approaching this age range that I am. There's just certain things that make me tick, and certain things I just don't care about no more, Miss Regina. Right? And things in this space pique my interest. It kind of takes me back, because sometimes you learn, well, at least I did in my childhood. I learned about women in the Bible as a child. But when you start becoming a real woman, and you start walking this life, them stories hit a whole different way. So talk about that series, why it's important, and then also to tell us where we can find that series.
Absolutely. So that series, that journal is a journal of 30 Unstoppable Women of the Bible is the name of the journal. And it was a labor of love for years. As a publisher, I've helped people write their own books over and over, and I've written books, and I have been laboring and fasting and praying about that Bible study, about that journey of these women. I believe as women, we believe we're going through something that's new. And in fact, I stopped by on this podcast today at the HBCU Her Voice podcast to sound the alarm. Everything we're going through has already been gone through, and God has given us the blueprint and the roadmap to journey forward. He has given us the transformation to understand how we're going to come out on the other side. And so if you're that woman who's feeling like, I don't know, I got secrets, or God, I feel this way, or I feel that way, and you believe God can't use you. In fact, he will use you just as you are. And so stop believing that he can't use you. If they're that woman that feel like you're struggling and you're going through and you're saying, I don't know, it's been so long, I don't know if I'm going to get on the other side. Well, just remember that woman who was the issue of blood. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get that one touch so that you can be made whole? If you're that woman that feels like you have a secret and you can't come to God, remember that woman who God met at the well. He's waiting for you for a conversation, for just you and him. And remember, he knows all, he sees all. So just bring it to him and lay it at his feet. Just like that queen who came, thought that she was only supposed to be the queen in the palace, but it turns around that God had a bigger plan for her life. Sis, God can use you and dream big for you just as much as he can use Esther from the Bible. And so that Bible study series is a series to allow you to just see how you can carry on in the lives of the women, how you can see yourself in their stories, how you can see yourself in their breakthroughs, and most importantly, how you can see that God loves you too, that you truly are that Proverbs 31, where she says she considers a field, and she didn't go to other people to talk about it. She considered the field and she bought it. Sis, what is it that you're considering purchasing, launching, speaking on whatever stage it might be? Consider it and count it all done. Stop waiting for other people to give you permission when God has already deposited on the inside everything you stand in need of to move and take your first step. You just got to believe it. You got to take the courage to take that step. And when you do, know that he's already gone before you. And so the 30-day Women Bible Study series is amazing. I teach on each of the women, and the journal walks you through it. It's a prayer, it's a scripture, it's a hymn from the hymn, because we need to go back to those hymns because they have our breakthroughs even in the hymns, right? And so inside of there, it's also a place for you to journal. And it's most importantly a place for you to read the story of the women that we are considering. That's the 30. There's plenty of women in the Bible, but I just pulled those 30 that God gave to me. And we broke them down into sections: women who are prayer warriors, women who praise God, and women who were in purpose and in business. So we honor you today, and we would love for you to have the opportunity to jump in and be a part of the Unstoppable Women of the Bible Study series. Women from around the world have been experiencing this transformation, and it's been amazing, and we are just getting started.
Now look, I thought you was gonna break out in the hymn. If you would have done it, I would have filled out this shelf. That's first off. And the second part, I told some of my guests, like, I'm gonna have a for real bucket around here somewhere so I can start passing the bucket around. I'm
not that singer, but I'll give you the lyrics. When we had a lot of times we're going through and we think that we're supposed to call on our sisters, or we're supposed to call on our brothers, or we're supposed to call on our parents. No, what you need to do is say, I need thee. Oh, I need thee. Every hour, God, I need thee. Oh, bless me now, my gentle Savior. I've come to thee. That's what you need to say.
Girl, just the words and no music give me chills. You have to... It don't take a lot of extra stuff. I'm telling you, them hymns, they'll set you free. And that's real life. I'm telling you, just saying it. No music, no nothing. I feel the power. Miss Regina, thank you for that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let me ask you this, and we're going to give these women 3 strong tips, because there's a woman that's watching and she's on the teetering post of comfortable and uncomfortable, because that's where many of these women live. That's where they live at. That's where you can find them at. They're on that post. Yeah. You got to talk them to the side of uncomfortable in 3 points. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to give them 3 points. Let's talk them, because that's where they're living at, Miss Regina. You know, just like I know.
Yeah.
I want you to give three tips.
Okay. I'm going to just like wrap it up in a story. Can you just imagine what he has for you? And when you imagine that, realize that if you would just embrace that, if you would just own that, if you would just walk in that, can you imagine what it would look like? Can you imagine what it would look like if you stopped saying, well, I don't know, because what if? You should feel so eager to find out what it would be like that you're afraid to find out what it won't be like. And so you have to get in a space of feeling like I'm comfortable, but I can only imagine what it feels like to be uncomfortable. That should be the push for you to leap. That should be the push for you. And then secondly, you should feel like, what if I don't do it? Will I miss out on who I could have become because I was afraid of who I might be? And so we are so afraid of success sometimes that we are okay with just being in the lane of making it. That's not the life that's designed for us. We are designed to thrive. And so this is your season to thrive. And last but not least, you ought to love you enough so much that you would be willing to do whatever it takes to be the greatest version of who you are. Because remember, there's only one you. Your assignment belongs to you, and I can't, and no one else could walk out your assignment like you can. And so there are women assigned to you, men assigned to you, whoever is assigned to you. But until you have the courage and the willingness to take the first step, you are leaving them behind. And so you should not want that to be on your shoulders, because remember, in the end, you want to leave empty.
Oh, beautiful. Yes. And you know what? That part about being so fearful of missing out on who you could have become, that's enough to rock you right there. Because I'm like, and I tell people all the time about picking fear. No, I'm just going to do it uncomfortable and scared because I am more fearful of Sinead leaving unfulfilled. Yes. And that is what's my drive. When it gets too heavy, too scary, it is that balance of fear. Sinead, which one's scary and how you going to leave? And Miss Regina say leave empty, I'm following that, and I'm leaving empty too. Now, I cannot leave, Miss Regina, without you telling people where to find you, where to connect to the women's empowerment movement, and really whatever you want to give right now for connection points, if you can provide that now, please.
So you can subscribe to the Bible study series at unstoppablewomenofthebible.com. Again, unstoppablewomen with an E of thebible.com. You can connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as Regina Robinson Speaks. You can go to my website at reginarobinson.speaks.com. And I always come bearing gifts. And so if you would like a gift, I will give you a special gift, which is my inner confidence assessment. If you text the number 240-443-1224, text your name and your email and say her voice, and we will drop you some free gifts. Of course, I always throw in extra gifts. So text 240-443-1224 and connect with me on all social media at Regina Robinson Speaks.com on my website, and Regina Robinson Speaks on social media. And if you're on Facebook, I have a Facebook community called Unstoppable Women of Faith. And we would love to have you join in with some amazing women who are loving and growing and glowing together.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for that. If you guys didn't hear that, she did say she has some free gifts. So take the information and get the free gifts that Miss Regina is offering. Now, this is the part in our show where we close out, where we give it to our guests for their final thoughts. And I always tell the guests that, look, if they see nothing but this should be some good parting words for them and really something that captures the essence of Regina Robinson. I'm going to turn it over to you for your final thoughts.
I leave you with this. You are a history maker. You are a change maker. You are a disruptor. And sis, now more than ever, your voice is necessary. Sound the alarm, show up, be bold, be unapologetic about who you are. Stop apologizing for being great. Stop standing on the sidelines celebrating everybody else and watching everyone else win while you are only wishing, hoping, and dreaming, when in fact you have the power, you have the gift, you have I affirm today that you have what it takes to stand in the gap and become the woman that you have been purposed, you have been designed, and you have destined to be. And that is, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Go ye and be the greatest version of who you are. And remember, you are an unstoppable woman on the move.
It's nothing else to say. Go ahead and drop the mic. Y'all heard it here with Miss Regina. What a fabulous and beautiful experience here today. I honor you in this space, and thank you so much for being here to share with us here on the HBCU Her Voice podcast. I always tell you women, remember to let your voice shine, because there are transformative things that happen when you do. I just have to say thank you again. And really, we'll be back in no time with another amazing woman on the HBCU Her Voice podcast. And we're out.